Hi, folks. This is James. Welcome back to the channel. I am so glad you are here. This channel exists to expose wolves in sheep's clothing and to shine the light of truth on places where there is darkness. And unfortunately, Not By Sight News did a story on this, and I did some research on my own. I went on the Dallas Morning News website. I also went on, there were two different websites I went to, cbsnews.com, and this is what I found. So, the situation here is a little bit different in the sense that the father of the victim, who's now 16, filed a lawsuit against the church Monday in Dallas County. I'm assuming they met last week, because it's now Monday. A lawsuit said another student threatened the child while holding a knife to his throat during a June camp sponsored by the church a month before the July trip where the child was allegedly abused. The suit said the child's parents were wary of allowing him to go on the July trip, but church leaders assured them he would be safe. So this is a little bit different than what we normally talk about, because in this situation, it wasn't a staff member that was the perpetrator. It was another teenager. And, but they were told that one of the staff at First Baptist Church, Devin Hutchinson, was going to meet with the family, and this is absolutely disgusting. It says the family met with a group of First Baptist Dallas employees, including Hutchinson, Lynch, and Whitehorn. According to the lawsuit, at that meeting, the lawsuit said Hutchinson accused the son of watching pornography and masturbating along with other boys during the trip. According to the suit, Lynch began lecturing the child during the meeting and began to intimidate, frighten, and confuse the child without giving him a chance to respond. Later on, it says the allegations in this case were, quote, especially egregious, quote, because of the knife threat on the previous trip. He said the child's parents weren't going to let him go on the July trip, but the church convinced them that he would be supervised and safe. So this is, like I said, it's a little bit different than we normally cover here, but it's still a problem because the wolves aren't always a staff person. Sometimes the wolves are other children, other teenagers, volunteers. And the thing that bothers me more than anything else is that they were told, oh, we're going to have people there to supervise and everything's going to be great. Everything's going to be... Where was the supervision? If indeed, and the other article talks about how they allegedly were watching R-rated movies on Netflix. I just, when you have these kinds of situations, it's extremely difficult. I'm just wondering why if this one kid was accused of putting a knife to another kid's throat, why was he even there? I can't prove any of this, but my gut feeling is that the one that was the perpetrator is somehow family or kin to somebody important. And he's like, "Oh, I didn't do anything. I didn't." And that's how bullies operate. And so the sad part about all of this is that we have to not only monitor and watch the behavior of people on staff, but also volunteers and other members of the church. And the bottom line is that whenever there's an activity that's happening outside of the walls of the church, if it's still a church-sponsored activity, anything that happens is ultimately the responsibility of the church. You've got to have people that are watching these kids. I mean, I know what I was like when I was 16, 17 years old. I was a complete knothead. All I wanted was a girlfriend. And, I thought virginitis was a real disease that I needed to get rid of, if you know what I mean. But for them to not provide the oversight in watching these kids at all times is just a complete. They drop the ball. When you're doing these kinds of, people go into another city to do ministry work and try to do outreach and try to do things to help people who don't have as much. Those are all noble activities. I've seen churches do this, and they do amazing things. They help people fix up their homes, and they are able to go to shelters and hand out food, and they're able to do all kinds of good outreach. But there's always that one that you've got to watch. And if there's a kid that's acting shady and acting inappropriately, that kid doesn't need to go, period. And it's up to the church to screen the kids and know who's up to shady behavior and who's not. So, anyway, tomorrow we're going to talk about what I saw last weekend at Gateway Church. You're not going to want to miss it. But until then, if you are new, please hit like and subscribe. Thank you so much for everybody who's helped this channel to grow and to become what it is. And I promise you, we're going to continue to expose wolves in sheep's clothing. And we've got to. It is our duty as parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles to protect our kids so that stuff like this doesn't happen. I was actually talking with somebody that I care for very dearly, somebody that I love, that I'm related to. I'm not going to say who it was, but their response when they heard about what I was doing was like, "Well, that's always happened. It's always been a, it's like, I'm not going to let pervs slide anymore. That's got to stop. This kind of garbage has got to stop. If you are feeling tempted to engage in activity that you shouldn't with a young person, go get counseling. Go get help before you hurt somebody and scar them for the rest of their life." Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being a part of this community. And I will see you tomorrow.